Hey, welcome to another episode of Chasing Rings. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's happening?
What's going on, y'all?
What's up? What's up? Let's get into our wait what here. Big dude, you want to set us off?
As you all know, I love to look at the offensive line play for the draft and look at what teams' needs are. And I ran with Tylen Grable, offensive tackle. That's a swing tackle. He's 6'5", 309. This is his third year. And he can also play center. But did you know in high school, his first 2 years of varsity high school, he was a quarterback?
Wait, what? That sounds crazy. What's his size again?
Well, right now he's 6'5", 309. But he was not that in high school. He was still pretty big, but he was a quarterback. It was his first. And then his senior year, he switched over, I think, to tight end. But he was a quarterback and threw for more than 5,000 yards in his sophomore and junior year.
Yeah, we'd probably be hard-pressed to find somebody that went from quarterback to O-line.
Only Lane Johnson is the only person. Lane Johnson was a quarterback, too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder how big he was in high school. I'm sure he was still a big boy. I mean, if he's playing tight end afterwards, he probably was still a big boy, but good for him. So the AFC East, all of those teams represent what you would consider major metropolitan areas. I know a lot of people don't think that way about Buffalo, but it's a pretty good sized city. But none of those teams currently play within the city limits of their namesake. Wait, what? So Buffalo plays in Orchard Park, New York, which is a suburb. Miami plays in Miami Gardens. New England plays in Foxborough, just outside of Boston. And, of course, the New York Jets play in New Jersey in East Rutherford. So none of those teams actually play in the cities that they represent.
How'd they pull that off? That's something weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the Foxborough before, and New Jersey, of course. But
and historically, I know Buffalo used to be right in the mix there, right in the city, the old War Memorial Stadium. Jets used to be in Queens at Shea Stadium. And Miami was right there with the Orange Bowl within the city limits. I don't know about the Patriots, however, if they were ever actually in the city of Boston. I always remember it being Foxborough as long as I could date back to remember watching football.
Well, I think their first name was the Boston Patriots. I think that was first. I don't know where the stadium was, but I know even when we played Boston College, it was Chestnut Hill and it was Foxborough.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, it was Foxborough. I don't ever, obviously Boston Patriots was before our time, but all right. Let's get into some news. Oh, man. So it's just a busy time in sports, man. So Major League Baseball is opening tomorrow night, and I know you guys might be like, baseball? But I'm telling you, after the playoffs last year, they got me back. The playoffs was so exciting last year. They pulled me back in. I can't wait. Tomorrow night, it's my Yankees opening at San Francisco. That's going to be a good one. But an interesting thing about this season is that they have the new automated ball strike system, or the ABS challenge system, that they've been testing in the minor leagues and in spring training. So how it works is each team's going to get 2 challenges on balls and strikes. Now, they already have reviewers. You guys probably already know where the manager can call a review of anything. But for the pitches, the ABS system, only the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter can challenge it. And there can't be any help from any place else. And you basically have a split second to challenge it. And I think they said some of the stats that I saw, it's only maybe taking 57 seconds at the most on these. So it shouldn't delay the games very much. So each team gets 2. If you are successful with your challenge, you keep it, of course, similar to, football. You're not successful, of course, you lose it. If the games go extra innings and you don't have any challenges, you'll get a new challenge at the beginning of that 10th inning. And if you use the challenge each inning, you keep getting another challenge. If you enter extra innings with challenges, you won't get any extras until you run out of challenges. So that'll be interesting. And there's some other intricacies to it. So you have the review, you have a certain time period. If you review and do an ABS at the same time, the ABS takes precedence, I believe. So you have to be very strategic about when you're using these, how you're using them, situation, strategy, and if it's better to maybe do a review as opposed to wasting one of your ABS challenges. So it'll be interesting to see how they use it, and what the strategy is, and we'll find out, how teams are managed, I guess I should say, because if you have somebody out there willy-nilly using your challenges up in the beginning of the game, and then the ninth inning comes and you got nothing, to me, it would be a last resort. I feel like if I'm a hitter, I'm just going to eat it, depending on the game situation, especially early in the season, maybe not a lot at stake. I'm just going to eat it, man. Now, later, if we got those two challenges and we're the eighth inning, then look, all bets off after that. But
right,
so that'll be interesting.
Or yeah, especially if runs are tight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, we need this on base.
Yep. We've been dry all night. We gotta try anything we can to get somebody on his base.
Right. If I can get on base, I can hopefully I can get in.
Yep. Moving to the Sweet 16 here. Let's take a look at, so all of our brackets are busted. I think that we kind of figured that out in our text exchanges, that most of our brackets are busted. We had some good hits, though. I know we didn't talk about who we had left in the women too much. I'm assuming we probably have most of these teams still, again, because of the lack of parity there. Anything different you see happening?
Not a whole lot. I guess I thought that, and that's the women we're talking about first, right?
Correct.
I thought that who was it? I guess it's pretty much the same. It wasn't really that. Thought North Carolina. That's the men. Pretty much the same for the women. The women, it wasn't a whole lot of different things. Like I said, getting out of that first round where those games are hosted by the host team and a high-seeded team, it pretty much kept it moving. I most of those people. But not a whole lot different.
What about you, G? You see anything different as the games developed, or you think it's just going to proceed as we stated originally?
Yeah, I thought it's pretty much going to proceed the way it's going now. I will say I was really surprised at Virginia's women. I actually kind of expected Virginia's men to break through, but as growing up at ACC, I'm glad to see that they're there.
Well, and if you remember what I said about that game, I was speaking the praises on Iowa and how they remained successful since Caitlin Clark graduated. So I was really shocked that they went out like that, because they'd been pretty solid even since she left. So yeah, that definitely was probably the shocker of the tournament so far. For me, I see Connecticut smoking through that still. I guess the big thing is, will anybody stay within 15, 20 points? There's some capable teams in that bracket for sure, but what I saw the last two games with them, it just looked crazy to me. You can't even believe what you're watching, to be quite honest.
Connecticut's just too good.
Yeah, they really are. South Carolina looked good as well, but I think they're going to be challenged a little bit in that bracket.
They have Oklahoma. No, they're playing Virginia, right?
No, they have Oklahoma first.
I didn't have them making it out of this round.
I remember. You had Oklahoma beating them, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, but here's the thing, though. It's one thing when you initiate your bracket, but when you go back and you look at the highlights and stuff, you're like, whoa, okay, Dawn got them ladies playing. So
yeah, you definitely need to see them out there, because it changes things, because now you have the eye test. And a lot of these teams you don't get to see, and if you do, you only see highlights. But to see them in their entirety, like, I knew Connecticut was good, but holy cow, I didn't know they were that good.
Yeah, they're just ridiculous.
So TCU surprised me in struggling a little bit, but South Carolina's got a little bit of work to do there. They need to stay focused, or they could get caught up for sure. Going at the top for me, I think UCLA is going to roll. I hope that we get to the 1-2 matchup there with UCLA and LSU. I think that could be an intriguing game, but I think UCLA's got too much. And like I said, when we talked about this originally, I think that they're on a mission. Next bracket gets a little bit tricky. For me, I was saying Texas, but now I don't know because Michigan looked pretty good. I didn't pick Louisville to advance, so I'm a little bit surprised that they're there, and they played a tough game against Alabama. So I think this is going to be a little bit interesting other than UConn's bracket. So UConn will be waiting for whoever survives the other three regions, in my opinion. But it sounds like we're all pretty much sticking with the status quo, top seeds advancing, and hopefully we get some good competitive games after that. Hopefully. Going to the men's side, man, Friday night specifically, I cannot wait because those are some killer games. No disrespect to the teams playing on Thursday, but that's like the JV games on Thursday. The varsity's up Friday.
Let me tell y'all, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Texas totally wrecked all of my brackets. I mean, I only had 3, but Texas just wrecked them. I had them going out early, remember?
Well, if you remember when we picked, I don't think they had played yet, but I overlooked them. I'm thinking, who cares? They're not gonna. I'm like, they probably won't even win their playing game. So I'm with you. But when I did my other bracket after I saw them play when we got off, I was like, ooh, they're one of them first 4 that might make a little run. Now I didn't pick them to win the second game, but I did pick them to win their first out of the 64 field. But yeah, the playing games, I kind of ignored the playing games.
Yeah, same here. But I also do know historically, though, the playing games can actually be pretty exciting, and there can be some unsuspected winners. But I just did not think Texas would go this far. Oh, they just totally wrecked me, man.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. Now I don't mean I ignored them like I didn't watch them. I watched them, but I'm thinking nobody's gonna make any noise out of that. It's like I had Miami, Ohio at least winning 2, but
me too.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, so, big dude, if you hadn't talked up St. John's and I went back and watched highlights and stuff like that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I pushed with St. John's, and
they're legit. Yeah, they're definitely legit. I don't trust them. Like I'm happy that they got to this point, and now we're about to find out because I'm telling you, Duke could be got.
I hate to say it, man, but they have not played the way they played during the season. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're pulling the 80s Lakers where they just play around until the playoffs start. And maybe they're doing it in reverse.
Well, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of some of these teams that were picked to win it all and never really looked impressive the whole tournament, but just found ways to win each game. And before you know it, they were cutting down the nets. And you're like, I don't even remember them playing a great game. How they cutting down the nets? But they just found they should have lost to Siena. They should have lost to Siena.
So you think they've been playing out with a whole lot of luck and it may be running out?
I feel that way, but the problem with St. John's, for me, and the same problem I have with UConn, is these offensive droughts. Like UConn looks so ugly in their half-court offense sometimes that it's unwatchable. And St. John's that's how Kansas got back in the game. St. John's was running some ugly half-court sets. And before you know it, a 10, 12-point lead was a tie. And I'm thinking, man, and when you start, now Duke's going to play defense and present some problems. If they don't shoot better, I think that'll be the end for them. I'd be surprised if St. John's beat Duke. They can beat Duke, but they got to play a better game. They got to be better on offense. They have to be better on offense.
Dude, I thought they played a lot of really good fundamental basketball during the season. And I just thought, I don't know. I didn't pick up they could have been got a couple of times in the season, so maybe I just missed those games.
Oh, I didn't think when the season first started, I was like, oh, Duke's winning it all. I'm like, Boozer's the player of the year. Duke will win it all easily. But now And St. John's has some size on him. Cameron Boozer, this will probably be his biggest test since the Michigan game in terms of having size that can match him down low. I think Duke's guards are better, and that's probably what's going to win the game. Like, I keep calling him Baby Boozer, and I know they're twins, but I keep calling him Baby Boozer. Baby Boozer been showing out, man. And I think he is going to be the difference in them if they're able to win the championship. It'll be because of him.
Wow.
Okay.
And you got anything else? Anybody else? Anything special over there? I don't like Michigan State. I really hope that this is it for them. But I think they're better than
why you hate Michigan State so bad, man?
I don't like Tom Izzo for some reason.
Okay.
I just he just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he seems like a player's coach. Like, he seems like the type of coach that I would normally like, but it's just something about it, dude. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Well, I can tell you who's killing me, like I told y'all, Virginia, man. He just can't. When I said they were disappointing, I meant it. I was like, and I think in one of the brackets I switched over. I said, let me try. Nope, they fell. They couldn't hold up.
They played Miami or Florida, right?
Yeah, that was disappointing.
See, that to me is one of those traps. You never know.
They played Tennessee.
Oh, did they play? Okay, same difference. Same difference. Tennessee and Miami. You never know which of those teams you're gonna get. The team that could play really high level, or just the team that's just gonna be out in the second round.
I just thought Virginia was gonna fundamental them out the court is what I thought.
Yeah, I didn't think it would probably be close, but I do like Tennessee in this one somehow.
Yeah, me too. I don't think I took them though.
And I don't know why, because I think Iowa State is a legit Final Four contender. I don't have them going, but Iowa State's good enough to beat anybody in this field. I just don't think they will.
Yeah.
Well, you know me, momentum in my world, my way of thinking is huge. And so Tennessee they're kind of on a roll right now.
Yep. I'm kind of getting that same feel. In Tennessee's tournament history, they never win when they're supposed to, and they win when you don't think they're going to win. And this is one of those times where they'll probably pull through, and then they'll do their typical bow out in the Elite Eight like they do year in and year out when you think they're going to – because they've never been to the Final Four.
Tennessee
Which is crazy.
Wow.
No?
Wow. That would have been a wait, boy. You would have got me on that one.
I'm telling you.
Michigan, Alabama is going to be an interesting one, but I think Michigan's too big. What do you think, big dude?
Yeah, Michigan is bruising, man. They really are, and it's got. I mean, they're big. You know, especially their guy. He's athletic and everything, and he's got a jump number 23, and he's got a jump shot, and he's key, and he can run the floor, and he can do all those other things. He's kind of like a more polished version of Connecticut's number 5. I mean, that guy's a monster on the glass, and 27 rebounds in any. I think he got the record for rebounds in the NCAA game. The first 30, over 30, and 20, and over, I think, over 25.
Yeah, and I look at all these games, man. Every one of these games could go any way. Every single one of them.
But you know, man, I'm looking at your boys playing Michigan, and I don't know, is there a way that both of them can lose?
Don't matter to me. I'm not big Bama basketball like I am football. I root for them, but I don't care. I actually would like to see Michigan win it all.
I wouldn't. Come on,
That's
man.
who you picked.
I picked Arizona.
I actually picked Purdue in this
one. A lot of people picked Purdue to win it all. A lot of people have Purdue winning it all.
I think I have them going to the Final Four. I think I have them losing there.
Yeah, I have St. John's and Houston going against each other in the Final Four, and Purdue and Michigan. Houston beating Houston. Houston beating St. John's, and Michigan losing to Purdue. And Purdue.
Houston is my sleeper.
Yeah, I took them in another bracket.
Well, you know I'm a rap because out of that part, I have Vandy going to the Final Four, so I've been done.
Oh, wow.
I hurt like they hurt when that ball rolled in and out.
Oh,
I want Michigan State out of there. Iowa, Nebraska is kind of like your Michigan, Bama. I wish Iowa and Nebraska just kiss each other and go away. I wish Illinois could go away. I'm not a Big Ten. I don't think I'm a Big Ten. Yeah, I don't think I'm a Big Ten. But there's certain schools in the Big Ten, though. Because honestly, we go back and forth with Ohio State, but I don't mind Ohio State. I don't like now in football. I ain't never giving you the benefit of the doubt. I ain't never rooting for them jokers, but I don't mind them like that. I actually started disliking them when I met you, so you can thank you for that.
I could be obnoxious, I know.
Arizona, I need gone. Purdue, it's a Big Ten thing. It's a Big Ten thing.
Can actually pull that one off?
Nope. I'm gonna tell you why they can't. I'm gonna tell you why they can't, but then I'm gonna say why they could. Because I just caught myself. I responded to my own why they couldn't. The players don't play smart enough in key situations, but they have Calipari, and he might be able to situationally coach them. They got to keep it close though. Got to stay close. They don't shoot the greatest either, but they have a. Remember we talked about the importance of these point guards.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas has one, man. He probably won't be coming back to school. That boy, he could be the best point guard in this tournament, actually.
Mm.
So when you have those guys, you think about if you think about those Kemba Walker teams, and I forgot my other little dude, Shabazz Napier. When you looked at those teams, you're like, those teams aren't gonna win a championship, and they end up cutting down the nets because of the guard play. They didn't have the best teams, but they had the best floor generals. And I think where we are right now, and that's why I like that Caden Boozer kid for Duke. I don't know what it is about him, but he's a very calming influence as a freshman who hasn't started all year. They look very calm when he's out there, and he doesn't show any type of emotion. You know how Rajon Rondo didn't really show any emotion, and then he's kind of cutting you 1,000 cuts. That's how that kid plays to me. So I'm going to be looking at who's got the best point guards in these games, and that's probably who's going to win these games.
So now you got me. I'm going to actually research that.
Except Michigan, which has a superior size advantage against Alabama, but that quickness could nullify that. When you got a point guard that can keep getting to the rack, and if you get them in foul trouble, then all of a sudden you don't have that advantage anymore. Houston, Illinois is another situation like that. I really like the guards on Houston, but Illinois is just better than I thought they were. And they got Peja Stojakovic's son, who is balling. That boy is nice, man.
Honestly, I haven't watched much of Illinois. I've probably watched more Houston than Illinois, so I know Houston a little bit better.
Yeah, Illinois is very fundamentally sound, and they have some dogs on that team. This is one of the more solid Sweet 16s we've seen in a while. I'm not looking at these games and thinking, oh, that's an easy win. There's not one easy game on here. Not one. And I just hope everybody shows up and plays and gives us good games, because this could be a hell of a next few days here. But anything else?
Get got.
Say it again.
So I told y'all Florida could get got.
Oh, I knew they weren't going back to back. This team was a shell of last year's team. Lucky they got this far.
Oh God.
And they still should have won the game. I mean, dude sitting there, how much time you think was on the clock, my guy? You driving under the basket, getting caught, and thinking you could pass it?
Right.
And
you know, I did that before one of my very first organized basketball games. Just dribble king.
Well, I'm guessing you were probably young, so that don't count. I'm not gonna hold that against you, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold that against you.
Buzzer went off. Like, what the heck? That's my whole point. Is that's like middle school shit.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get that age, you know to be paying attention to the clock. You know, it's just a quick glance. You know what's happening. Keep your head.
Yep, and that's nothing but a nut up to me, and somebody that probably shouldn't have been handling the ball at the end if that's how he's handling his emotions and managing the game. It's like, come on, man. You
And,
gotta
that's
go.
been happening all season, and they probably just
Yep.
skated through. But
Yep.
that mental.
Even if you shoot it a little early, you definitely can't let the clock run out.
Right.
So anyway, anything else about the Sweet 16? I just know I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it.
San Jose.
All right, and our last news item, the WNBA got its new collective bargaining agreement ratified. So that's huge news and some really nice perks for the women. I'm so happy. So their salary cap increased from 1.5 million to 7 million, and it's projected to get to 11 million by 2032. So that's good money. I wish it could go up more in the 6-year period, but hey, I'm happy that they're here. The average salaries will be roughly around 600,000. Minimum salaries are going to be between 270 and 300. So that's really good. They have revenue sharing now, chartered flights. The housing is huge. So listen to this one. Teams are required to provide housing for all players for their first 3 years. So 2026, anybody coming in 26 to 28, then they're going to provide housing for you. In 29-30, they're going to provide support for players who make less than $500,000.
Wow.
No.
So that's pretty dope, man. And when you think about what our expenses are, it's the house.
The house.
So
and you think about where these teams are located.
It's not cheap to live there. So I think they got a really good deal.
Is it a real house? Is it a townhome, a condo? What?
Bruh, put 23-year-old me in a townhome. I'm good. I'll figure it out after that. And it's not like they're not making anything. If that doesn't suffice, you can certainly find your own housing. But
of course,
for the first 3 years, my mindset is I'm doing nothing but balling anyways. I just need a place to rest my head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I hope that that's keeps progressing for the women. I think the game has been growing. Obviously, I mentioned earlier in one of our shows that they're expanding. So this is a great day for the WNBA. Finally, after all these years. All right, so we're gonna pick up. I know we had a lot going on. Took a little bit more time than we normally do with news, but there's a lot going on, and we can't just glaze over it. We are continuing with our NFL draft outlook today. We are continuing with the AFC East, and we're going to start out with my boys, them Buffalo Bills, baby, about to be Super Bowl champions. I should have played a laugh track after that or something. The Bills, same old story with us, right? We don't have a true alpha wide receiver, but we still got to the postseason. We were positioned to do our thing. Certainly, people kept harping on missing Mahomes and Burrow, but there still were legitimate teams in the playoffs this year. And it's not like we were the 1 seed. So I didn't really buy too much into that. But it's pretty much the same story with Buffalo, right? Just failure to thrive, I guess, is the best way to put it in key moments. The defense does what it always does. It just can't. And they played a decent game against Denver up until when we really needed the stops. And then, Josh always seems to make that one mistake or two, as good as he plays, that one mistake or two that you just can't get back that ends up costing you the game. So that's their season in a nutshell. And the difference with this year, though, is that basically that playoff exit was just followed by comedy within the organization and a dysfunction that I'd never seen before with the organization, with the press conference after McDermott's fired and then, dumping on Keon Coleman, hiring Joe Brady. It was just a mess after that, man. It was embarrassing for those few weeks after that. Like, the playoff loss wasn't bad enough. Now you see that our leadership is terrible. So didn't make me feel good for that first month, as y'all know, as we had our conversations. But I feel a little bit better about things now. Of course, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, was hired to take over McDermott's spot. And, they're hoping that he can push them over the top and get them to where they need to be. But the big offseason story for them really is, can they get the pieces they need? I mean, they're not far off. like I said, they didn't have a superstar wide receiver, but still were at the top of the league in offense. And as bad as their defense was, they were ranked first in passing defense. But I think we were, 30 or something, maybe 30-29 against the run. And, that just caught up with us, even though we played better towards the end. So they don't have a lot of cap space. They were able to make some room to get to that 13.1 million because they started off the offseason minus 11 million. So a lot of free agents they let go, restructured and converted some contracts. And they don't have that much draft capital. Out of all the teams in this division, they have the least number of draft picks by far. So some work to do there. They're not far off, but they don't have a lot to work with. So whatever Brandon Beane and Joe Brady have in mind, they have to be very, very strategic about it. Now, they've already made some good acquisitions. I love the DJ Moore pickup, Bradley Chubb. I really, really like my man CJ Gardner-Johnson because we need a dog on defense, and we have never had a dog on defense. And you need somebody with that edge, and hopefully gives that defense an edge that we've never had before. I like the D. Alford pickup, who was the corner from Atlanta, and I like the Geno Stone pickup, the safety from Cincinnati. We lost some of my favorite people, especially Teron Johnson. He's one of my favorites. I could do without Bosa or Taylor Rapp, especially Bosa. Go be with your brother. And David Edwards was a big loss on the line, but I knew we wouldn't be able to keep all of our linemen. That's just par for the course in free agency. You can't keep everybody, right? So really, these GMs in the NFL are probably more important than ever in terms of moving the chess pieces. That's why, Howie gets so much love in Philly for what he's done, because you just can't keep these teams together anymore. And you have to be smart and I guess have a little bit of luck when you release somebody that you're releasing the right people and keeping the right people. So having said that, Buffalo has 15 free agents still. Most of them, from looking at that list, are probably going to walk and just haven't landed any place yet. The big focus is run defense, obviously, and we always need a wide receiver, but anything on defense would be helpful. And the biggest needs: wide receiver, edge, cornerback, linebacker, O-line, and we have the 26th pick in the first round. Gee. Help my boys get to the Super Bowl, man.
But, I really wonder, okay, it's two pieces. The interior line and your linebackers. They've really got to focus on that from a technical game perspective. That's where they're focusing. But then on the offensive side, I don't know. I was thinking that some of this is a combination. It could be scheme. I honestly think it's scheme. Because I don't think y'all's offensive line was poor. McGovern, we see he's re-signed for 4 years, so that's still there. The being 15 ranked passes, I think that's more about how do y'all use your running backs, and you just need to upgrade the wide receivers. I think
we had no deep threat. Mm-hmm. So it was all that dink and dunk type stuff.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: if you're going to dink and dunk, and you have to have somebody who's quick enough to get yards after catch. And so y'all were dinking and dunking, getting your yards, but I would be curious to know what their yards after catch was. But anyway, so for them, because y'all are good. I mean, y'all are really good. If I'm in the GM room, I'm saying we are going to go, well, you're 26, so you're probably going best available at that particular point. But definitely, if you can find a dog in interior, be it interior line or inside linebacker, that's where I'm focusing on. I don't know how much more of their cap space they have available, but if they have like 2 million a year or something, they might be able to get that deep threat in free agency.
Yeah, that 13.1 that we have, I forgot what the total is. They said you need to sign all your rookies, but that's probably just enough to sign our rookies, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, really?
I forgot. There's a total amount. There's a standard total that the NFL states that you need to be able to sign all your rookies, given the average number of picks. and I think we might be slightly above that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, y'all definitely need a deep threat, and y'all got to plug up that middle because being 28th in the run, that's just not good at all. Because you're just basically allowing your opponents to run, put you on your heels enough that they can just start throwing under you, or then waiting for you to pull up and then throw over you.
And that, and nothing's more demoralizing than getting run on. It wears you down, and it just really takes your head out. And you can see guys, any team that's getting run on, you can almost see the body language on the defense. And I've been on defenses like that before, and we've been in that huddle like we can't stop them. Like we've said it to each other, like we can't stop this team from running the ball.
But here's the thing: when you think about run plays and big dude, you could probably really speak to this. Think about hitting that sled. So you're constantly, essentially hitting some 200, 300-pound sleds on both sides. But at the same time, they have a lot of force coming because they're strong as bulls. And I'm like, that makes anybody tired over time. That's weightlifting for 60 minutes.
And big dude, I know you know that feeling. You know when you're dominating somebody and they can't do nothing with you.
Right, yeah, and it's a good feeling to have when you're doing this while you do the sled, but just everything is taken out, like you were saying, G, in the athleticism. I mean, going against, especially if you know you're going to pass a lot that game, getting out of your stance is almost impossible. And they don't want you to do it a lot of times because I played swing tackle, and it was a little different because then we didn't have right and left tackles at Penn State. We had short and long. Long tackle, you always had the tight end with you, so somebody was over there. But if you were over at the short side, you got no help from anybody. So when you get and that's what happened to the Patriots. They had no help, and we'll get to them later. They had no help from anyone. So it's like, you have to have people. And one of the things that is really good about the Bills, the more that I read about them and the more that I saw and the more that you were talking about Dave Edwards, Guru. I mean, Dave Edwards is another one. You probably got like 4 of those linemen that play multiple positions. And that's almost what you have to do. It's the athleticism, but it's the skill level, and then it's the stamina all together. So I think that they're going to be going a lot faster. I can see the Bills doing that, but to turn around what they have to do, to add on, like if I can, jump one in, I think the Bills, and a lot of people put questions out, as much as I have done some research on what else they could do at 26. My first thought was like G said, let's get a D tackle. But then on the other part, now that you have Allen helping to restructure things and you have your line pretty much together, you have to have a game breaker type of person, especially I say they give KC Concepcion a shot. I mean, the more that I looked at him and the more I look at his film and video, he has that kind of that D-Jack, that Deshaun Jackson kind of burst. I don't think I understood until I saw it. And you got a guy that's also a punt returner, because I think what as good as the Bills defense is about to get, they had a rough year last year. I don't think they'll have a second one like that. So having great special teams people that make those plays and able to flip field positions, I think the Bills are a strong team because they can get themselves out of the hole. For them to be better this year, they have to really keep having some folks that can help flip the field positions with the return game and also with the plays on defense. With the defense, I know, Guru, you have brought it up before. They're doing the run to do a 3-4 and under disguise of it, sometimes it's a 3-5-3. So they're looking for big plays and they're looking for attacking style defense. So anything they're going to be able to do to turn the field around, I think is going to be important. I know that, and I brought up Concepcion because I had found out through all the other things that the Bills Nation had talked about. I think that the Bills, I think it was today, the Bills had a top 30 visit with him, the top 30 draft people. That's what people are tracking now. So they've talked to them, and the Bills have also talked to Omar Cooper and Mekhi Lemon at the the combine. So in Boston, so they got their eye on people. So the fact that they've talked to that many wideouts, they are looking for something that's game breaking. Because you have DJ Moore, who's a good player, but he's what, 31, going to be 32 when the season starts, or is he already 32? So you got to have somebody that's going to help you stretch the field. And on defense, now that you don't have Bosa, who's going to be that new person? There's going to be a different type of thing. Bosa was good, but he was chilling a little bit. He wasn't really making plays, and he had the ability, and he just wasn't going the whole way. Now you got to have some people. They're probably going to end up playing smaller, even up front in the interior. I know, and I can't remember his last name. Ohio State has a defensive tackle number 98. He's probably, later. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's what the Bills need. They need to change the field, and they need to be able to continue to strengthen their line, especially their defensive line first. It looks like their offensive line, I think, is in solid shape because I said they're cross-trained. But the new defense they brought in, I think, is going to, it's going to cause a lot more turnovers and put them in a good position. But Allen has a great attitude in what he's been to his guys and doing the best for them. Connor McGovern coming back is big, So I think that's what the Bills need to do: speed, field position change, speed on defense, and some help and another safety. Because I'm glad about CJ also, but I know that's a one-year deal. Who's the next safety after CJ or if CJ for some reason doesn't work out? He went to what, 2 or 3 teams last year. So let's hope he stays there and he does what he's supposed to do. But I say one other safety for the Bills.
Yeah, he's been getting dinged up a little bit the last few years, and I was thinking about that the other day. If he can't go all 17 games, because even Cole Bishop was dinged up this past year. So, and that's another big thing that we haven't really talked about with this team. They're so injury prone, and that makes me look at, and this is up your alley, G. Like, what are they doing for, workouts and nutrition? And because it's one of the most injury prone teams that I've ever seen, especially on defense. Rarely will we have all 11 starters for a majority of the season. And I think even this year, you get to the playoffs and you hear the commentators saying this is the first time all the starters have played together all year.
Wow.
Why is that? So, and I'm not saying other teams didn't.
There are some theories about that, because if you think across the league, you see injuries up. Same thing in basketball. You see the injuries up.
But look at somebody like the Eagles, though. And I know the Eagles had some injuries, but for the most part, the Eagles are typically pretty healthy. It's rare that the Eagles have gone into, and I'll say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, big dude, the last 5-6 years, with the exception of maybe the latter part of that, most of the times the Eagles have been pretty healthy come playoff time. And if they weren't, they had the depth to cover it. And we have neither. No health, no depth.
And that's what I think some of the theories I've read, I know some of the theories I've read is definitely that you don't have, your backup isn't that good, so they rush you off the personal training, off the trainer table to get you back. So they may bring you back too quickly. But then there's also what happens in the off season, and then how preseason is actually operates. At least preseason workouts actually work out, because they don't really go full out and full hit like they used to. And so there's some thinking that when it's time to start going all out, your body's just not attuned to it. Think about it. You had several months off, then you go back to start doing your training to try to get back into shape. So it's a combination of those two things I've read over time, and then finally it's the focus, because also with sports specific training being such a huge thing, even when the off season happens and there are those people who y'all can tell who are jacked, and when they're healthy, they're flying around or they're just blowing people off, but then they injured. But some of that is that sports specific training. So what I would recommend anybody in off season do something different than what you've been doing for these 7-8 months, because it becomes an overuse injury is really what you end up having.
Well, I hope
So
we
those
get it
are kind of
together.
the top three things I recall.
Well, I hope we get it together because, I mean, if you watch us play for an extended period of time, whether it's on offense or defense, we're always the ones falling back.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely are we running over somebody. Rarely are we going through the runner or the receiver on the tackle, and the play ends and we're the ones dinged up, and it happens way too often. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I jump into my little soliloquy. I've gone so back and forth with what we should do. The receiver is the sexy thing to do, but I have to keep going back to you have an offense that's damn near been unstoppable without this receiver. And the defense is so bad. I just don't see how you can overlook defensive guys with your only first round pick.
Right.
And you've given up your second round pick for DJ Moore. So this pick's got to bring some more value. And where do we need value? We need it on defense. Big dude you brought up, and I believe you were referring to Caden McDonald, the big boy from Ohio State.
Yes,
that's who I got my eye on.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I got my eye on. I'm hearing rumblings about us trading back and trading into the second round, which makes me think that we don't like what we see at that pick. And then you get out of the first round. Certainly you don't have to pay whoever you pick in the second round that first round money, but you might be able to get similar value. If we trade out of that first round, I'm wondering if we're just going to go wide receiver because, I mean, the defensive guys that we need to move the needle quickly are going to be gone by the time we get back around. The 91st pick in the third round, it's got to be defense here. It's got to be defense. It's got to be. The wide receivers are so deep. And some of these guys, if you think about so the 91st pick is our next pick, some of these guys are ranked so low. One of these Indiana guys might still be around. The second USC kid, Jacoby Lane, might be around. There's the kid that I really like out of Louisville, Chris Bell, that fell off the charts because of his ACL, but I know he also took a visit to Buffalo as well. I really like this Chris Bell kid, 6'2", 220. My problem with Concepcion is I don't like these small receivers. We got Shakur already. I don't want any receiver under 6 feet. I would like not to have a receiver under 6'2", because all of our receivers are kind of in that tweener area other than Keon. And unless he steps up, we're going to have a bunch of small guys. So we need to get one of these 6'2" or higher receivers. I don't want these 5'9", 5'11" cats. And they might end up being great, but that hasn't worked out for us across the board. We need one big body. And I don't know, what's the size on DJ Moore? Is he 6 feet? I feel like he's not.
DJ Moore?
No.
Yeah. I don't think he is either. So, we have all these smaller guys, which I'm not saying it can't work, but the wear and tear on the season for guys that size, and then when we really need a catch, that's why I love A.J. Brown so much. Is the one, as much as a pain as he is, if you need a catch, he can get open because he can just get you off of him. And that's the thing about Jamar Chase and those guys. Say that again.
What do you think about Chris Brazil and Denzel Boston?
I love them, but they're going to be gone. They're probably going to be gone. Yeah. I'd be shocked.
Maybe they can trade. Well, nah, y'all don't have the cap space to trade up.
And what do you sacrifice? Do you sacrifice knowing you need defense to get one of these guys? So now you average 45 points a game and give up 48. We're back in that same conundrum. You know what I'm saying? Or because you can't stop the run, Denzel Boston never even gets no burn because this team just kept the ball 10 minutes in this quarter, 8 minutes in this quarter, 9 minutes in this quarter. We've had 6 possessions the whole game. And if you punt, you got to figure you're going to punt once or twice to turn the ball over once. So now you have 4 or maybe 5 solid possessions for a receiver that you took in the first round not to even get out and make a difference for. You gotta go defense. It's gotta be defense. I'm gonna be hurt if it's not a defensive guy.
Well, that's what I have first. Either it's somebody on the inside, though, be it inside line or inside linebacker. But
you guys know who I like. You know who I'm gonna say.
Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Now
he's the other safety.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The problem is we just got CJ. And we got Cole Bishop, who is his 3rd year, I think.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know the intricacies of what Jim Leonard's got planned and how that defense is going to work. I mean, certainly you can platoon people in and out, because I like McNeil-Warren because he can help in the run game a lot as well, and he could cover.
That dude's 6'4".
Who is?
McNeil-Warren from Toledo.
That's what I'm saying, man. And he's a big boy too, bringing it.
Yeah,
man.
6'4", 201.
I hate to see him end up on another team, but I don't think he's going to end up with us.
And if there was a way to trade back, I say Jacob Rodriguez for Milano. Now that Milano's gone, somebody like Jacob Rodriguez needs to be in that spot.
So maybe am I getting too caught up on size with some of these guys? Actually, he's bigger than I thought. Never mind. I thought he was under 6 feet. Never mind. I take that back.
Who's that, DJ?
Rodriguez. I thought he was a 5'11" dude, but he's 6'1".
6'1", 230, right? I think that's what I had him for.
Yeah. But wasn't one of the weaknesses, didn't we talk about recently in one of the other outlooks that pass coverage was an issue with him? Yeah.
When G looked that up, that's what they were saying. His pass coverage was not necessarily adequate. They didn't give him they didn't give him an amen. They were like, okay, he can hit. He's going to be able to sack people and all that. And I think we were talking about, especially if he has to cover the middle of the field, especially with what they're going to be doing now, with the way Leonard is going to run that aggressive defense. That's okay. But if he has to cover somebody, it's going to be different, because other than that, it's going to be predictable. They'll know when he's blitzing.
See, and Milano could cover. Like Milano could play the run and he could cover. He just got banged up, and everybody gets old. That's what happens. But yeah, we have to go defense. I say the best defensive lineman or edge rusher available with that pick, they have to take.
I can see that.
We got to clog up that middle somehow. And we got it with big bodies too, because if you watch us play, we're there. But their big bodies just move us out, man. They just move us out of there. You have guys perfectly positioned, and I see 2 or 3 guys get their arms only on them, and you're talking about 12 yards a pop. Arm tackle is not going to work in the league.
No.
Right.
So that's my take on them. Really, my biggest last closing statement is on my boys is just a lot of prayer, fellas. A lot of prayer.
Well, I don't think Caden McDaniel is going to be around.
You don't think so?
How many stellar nose tackles are there?
Well, I'm looking at where he is, and I know he's jumped up. He's 40th highest prospect.
But the 4th defensive lineman.
Is he the 4th defensive lineman?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you see, and that's the issue with this draft. With 10 spots, and I think you were talking about that, Goo, the rankings. There's only so much you can pay attention, because 10 spots, there's still a lot of parity even within 10 to 12 spots.
I think he could be there, G, based on what some of these other teams need. And I know a lot of teams are probably going to go defense, but there's some teams that need receivers. There's some teams, Jeremiah Love's going to be gone. Those first 5-6 receivers are going to be gone. You're almost out of the top 10 already, and we haven't gotten to the top defensive guys yet. You got 2 quarterbacks probably, because I think that this Ty Simpson situation is starting to irk me, to be quite honest with you, and not in the way that it normally has. Now they're saying he should be picked over Mendoza.
Oh, man.
They're saying he's the best quarterback in the draft now.
Man. He did, and that workout he had, it was okay. It was adequate. That was it.
So I'm curious what the rationale is.
I don't know what the rationale is. I don't know what the rationale
That's
is.
your boy.
I can probably give some hypotheses on it as I'll save it for when we get to the Jets because they're one of the dummies that might go there. But they have 2
Yeah.
picks too, so maybe
He does not need to go low. I mean high. He needs to go to a team that can help with his with the few places of error that he has.
He's going first round. But let's jump into the Dolphins, though. I don't want to get too far into my Ty Simpson. And we're gonna get to him in a minute. Let's go to the Dolphins. Just
Okay, Dolphins.
this is the team that I thought Miami would be the threat to Buffalo in this division, to be quite honest with you. I did not think, because if you just go back, I mean, it happened fast, their deterioration. If you go back to, was it 3 years ago? We had to survive a late season game where they had us on the ropes at home to get the division, and then we had to beat them in the playoffs. And they played us tough. Those weren't easy games when Hill first got there, and Tua, I think this was pre-injury Tua, they were giving us problems. That Mike McDaniel's offense, we had no answer for, and their defense, they played us pretty well. But, we had Diggs also then too, so our offense was a little bit more explosive. But Miami used to give us fits if you go back to 3 years ago. Their deterioration happened so fast that I'm almost in disbelief about where they are right now. So nothing good in Miami seems to last long, which I guess is a good segue into that statement. 2025 was really no exception for them. They went 8-9 last year. And then they started off 1-6 this year. So it was just like a carryover from already a bad campaign last year. And basically that led to Mike McDaniels getting fired. And certainly I think we all knew Tua wasn't going to be back in Miami, whether he played the whole season or not. But they were 6-4 down the stretch, which for a team that was in disarray like they were, is not too bad when you really think about it. They played some good ball down the stretch. But if you got to start Quinn Ewers, and Quinn Ewers is another one of my college football quarterbacks, overrated non-favorites. Didn't like him at Texas. Can't even believe he got drafted, but that's another story.
I rated.
But anyways, they ended up 7-10, and they just always were stuck in the middle, it seems. They played decent here and there, then look bad. Miami was just all over the place. And I think there was a locker room situation, which started in the preseason from, comments that Tua was making. And I don't think players were happy with that. And their coaches' personality, I don't think meshed well for a lot of people. I liked him. I like Mike McDaniels, but
I play with him.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, exactly. But they only beat one playoff team all year, which was my boys, of course. Go figure. Which was a terrible loss. But outside of that, you got Tyreek Hill had the major knee issue, and he's no longer with them. Tua just wasn't effective after a while. And Miami's basically in reset mode at this point. But Miami's got a ton of draft picks, and they've made some good moves. They got 2 first-rounders, I believe. And so they have a lot of space to rebuild, and they don't need as much as we think they might need. I saw some things on social media kind of joking about Miami, and don't be surprised if they're a little bit better than people think, because I love Malik Willis coming out of Liberty. I'm glad that he's getting an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying he's the long-term answer, but I think it could work for them. So I'm anxious to see what he can do. But they lost a lot.
QBR, man, and I was like,
Yeah, I mean, look at the way he played when he came in Green Bay.
He had those 4 games, and he won 2, he lost 2. He lost 2 to some good teams, but he still had solid QBR.
He could have easily won those 2 games that they lost. Easily could have won them.
I mean, this might end up be a Tom Brady situation. I'm not saying he's going to be the GOAT, but he could end up being like, whoa, we got.
I think you kind of see him like I do. So Just remember, we said it first. Don't be surprised if Miami makes a little noise. I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl or winning the division, but I don't think they're going to go 5-12 or nothing like that. I think that they're going to be highly competitive. But the issue they have is they don't have any cap space. They only have $2 million in cap space, so that's next to last. But they have 11 draft picks, 2 in the first round, and they have an early second round one. And they pretty much have picks in every round and multiple picks in every round, except the 6th round. They have no picks. So they can still move some things around.
Million?
Say that again.
You say the rookie contract available was capped at, or budget was capped at 13 million?
I think it was around. I feel like I want to say it was 11 or something you needed, but don't quote me on that. But there is a set amount that you have to have. And I know 2 million is not close to it. So they got to make some more space, obviously, still
Right.
to sign all these picks. But Miami's dreadful on both sides of the ball. 26th in total offense, 25th passing, 13th running, not too bad. They didn't turn the ball over a lot on interceptions, believe it or not. They were 4th there. Defensively, terrible in every single statistical category. 22nd in total defense, 26th against the run, 18th against the pass, 23rd in interceptions, not getting turnovers. So a lot of work to do there, but a lot of draft picks to do it with. Big dude, I'll start off with you this time. What do you have Miami doing in the first round with 2 picks? Not 1, but 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, another team, like you said, I think that needs some excitement. I think first we need to find out that there's a couple of different ways to go. Looking at how that first round is going to go with the defensive ends, a number of people they keep talking about Reuben Bain, and they keep talking about his short arms and all these other things that are happening. I think it's a real mistake, I think, for a lot of people, because I think when you start to take a look at 11, they're going to need somebody on the other side of Chop Robinson, who didn't have such a great year this year at defensive end, 4 sacks, and he wasn't up there and all the rest of the pressures and all the other analytics. But I think, certainly I would say defensive end and looking at, maybe somebody not that high, but somewhere around there. I think they got to figure out how they're going to replace their tight end that they lost from last year as well. Also safety situation. I know he's a little older. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Rasul Douglas, I think, are going to be difficult to replace, and I think that's what's going to. They're going to try to figure out where they're going to get kind of that person, that sage person back there, like you have a CJ. That's kind of what they're missing, and that's kind of what Minkah, I guess, is in his own way, and how that defense with this coach is going to run it. So I say the edge, and I would say they take a chance on somebody like Reuben Bain playing on the edge. Now, getting to the 30th pick, and I think this is where I agree with you as well with the Bills. You get some excitement as well. Somehow Waddle has got to be replaced. I don't think they need to go all the way up top again. That could be the other thing. I think at 30 they can get a decent wideout. And I think they also are talking. They have a top 30 visit with Lemon that's already scheduled. So they have one scheduled with Lemon. So that goes to show you somewhere with the top 30, they might be considering 11. But I think the defensive end is what they're going to need to do to get to the quarterback to try to stay with Buffalo, because you can have all the speed in the world, but if you can't get to Josh Allen and you can't get to all these other folks that people have, it's going to be difficult for Miami. But for Miami to come back, also I would say to look at corner for the 30th pick as well. Corner will help solidify that defense. I like the kid Colton Hood at 30. So, and all those other picks, they can sprinkle out all the different needs that they have to rebuild that defense, probably take a couple of chances on some people late. some people that are solid defensive players, probably not the best to play on special teams, and some other teams still, now free agency is not over. Who else are going to be their important backs? How are they going to be able to run the football on people? So they're going to have to slow it down. I mean, they have a coach, Hafley, that's a defensive-minded coach, so he's going to be a big coach based on field position. So I'm saying bolster that interior offensive line, the guards, and maybe have another person that can play center, and that interior defensive line that can keep those linebackers flowing. I know Keontae Scott's name keeps coming up for the nickel safety. They said he just had his pro day and ran a 4.33 at his pro day. So you have people like that are athletic, but like you said, Guru, folks that are going to be able to tackle. How are people going to mend and gel together? I think Malik Willis will be a good leader for the offense. And I think him breaking in a new wide receiver, I think is going to be important. But replacing Minka Fitzpatrick on defense and having that stalwart in the secondary is going to be what sews everything up.
What are you looking at for the Dolphins, G?
I landed in a similar spot as Big Dude. We talked about the QB, and at first I had QB at the beginning until I did a little digging on Malik Willis, and I'm like, you know what? They may wait to 2027 and give Willis an honest chance because he did play well, as we mentioned, in those 4 games. So then I'm like, okay, well, where else do they need to go? So part of me is thinking, well, where can we improve where we're closer to in the top, the top third of the league? That's kind of what I'm thinking. And so with the offense on the run, they were 13. So they're like right there on the cusp of being in that top third. So I'm thinking offensive line, the running backs. I don't think they were like the greatest, if I remember correctly. But I have running back at the front end, but I think you could probably hold off a little bit past the first round and still get quality running back. So I would definitely go offensive line probably first to really, really try to improve that run game. And if you can improve the run game, that's going to automatically help the passing game. And so them being 24th in passing, that should come down if they improve the run game, and if Malik actually plays the way he played in those 4 games. But then there's defense, 18 with the pass against the pass, 26 against the run. So I'd probably go, this is a tough one. My gut says try to improve that 18. So your defense, or at least against the pass, you can be in the top 12, top 10. And so go safety and quarterback. But then the reality is the passing game begins with the edge. So to what you're saying, Big Dude, inside on the offense, go to the edge on the defense.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with both of you guys in terms of your approach. They do need help on both sides, and kind of what do you prioritize? I'm looking at the defense and where they're drafting with that first pick. They should be able to get one of these edge guys. I really like either Falk or Bailey, whichever one is available. I would say go with them. If both of them are gone for some odd reason, I don't think they'll be. If they're gone, I like Mansour Delane from LSU, the cornerback. They need some help on that back end. But I definitely want to go defense with this. What is it, the 11th pick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to go defense with that 11th pick. 30th, I want to get a wide receiver because they have to replace losing Hill and Waddle. Got to get a wide receiver. And there should be decent wide receivers, like Big Dude said, at that 30 spot. I have a feeling that Chris Bell is going to really drop because of that knee injury, and that's going to be a mistake. Whoever gets Chris Bell is probably going to get a steal. I have a feeling he might even end up going in the second round, but he definitely should be there when they draft at 30, and I would take a chance on him. He's 6'2", 220. But there's a bunch of other receivers. Say it again.
You said drafted 30?
Yeah, they have another pick at 30.
Oh, okay. I need to update my chart. Go ahead.
Yeah, because they traded that pick.
Okay.
Or traded for that pick, I should say. Yeah, so they have I think they need to get a wide receiver to replace some of what they lost there. Otherwise, they're going to be back at square one. So I think that's what they probably should do. And that gives them a piece on both sides of the ball that they're going to need to be competitive in that division, because you're going to have to be able to put some pressure on Allen and May. And you're going to need to threaten both of those defenses on the outside. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I think Malik Willis. Oh, and speaking of Malik Willis and quarterbacks for next year, 3 years, $67.5 million. So I think that he's their guy for a minute.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. That is some cake they just laid out.
Yeah. So, it's the benefit of being patient, right? Sitting on the bench, a couple different places, knowing you can still play. A lot of respect around the league, just as not only a quarterback, but just as a great human being. So you're getting a good character guy too. So I hope that works out for Miami, but only so much. Not too much, but just so much. But I'd be happy for him if he has some success there. So that's my take on Miami. And then they have all those other picks that they can really go to town with. They can pretty much probably get everything they need with these picks, moving the picks around. They should be able to accomplish a lot with that. And they have 20 free agents still. They can still make some more cap space too. So that's my thoughts on the Dolphins. Let's move forward with my favorite team of all time, the New England Patriots.
Oh, God.
Sense my enthusiasm.
Sarcasm was kind of thick, bro.
Yeah, so the AFC champion, New England Patriots, and AFC East champions.
The rich get rich, bro.
Definitely, tell me about it. Definitely arrived way earlier than anybody expected. Basically, wrestled the division championship away from my boys. Congrats to them on that. But a lot of people questioned their schedule last year, me being one of them, but you can only play the teams that are put in front of you. So I'm not even going to use that as an excuse for anything. We'll see. We'll see if they're for real this year. I'm a big Mike Vrabel guy, so I have no doubt that he's going to take them to where they need to go. I just didn't think it would be this soon. I didn't think that their personnel was good enough personally, but they made some good free agent transactions last year. And I think that helped them out a lot, but they also lost some people this year, but got a lot of money to play with. They're sixth in cap space, $36.5 million, and they also have a lot of picks. So we'll see what they can do. But, Drake May almost won MVP, which was crazy. Their defense was hard-nosed. I think they just need some weapons here and there, fill in some gaps. Certainly that offensive line, the whole world saw that fiasco in the Super Bowl. And just some holes on defense. They have a competitive young defense that flies around. Few things here and there to fill in some gaps because they did lose some people. But I think they're actually in really, really good shape with that $34 million cap space and a lot of draft capital. Their offense just makes me think about the NFC West when we were talking about the NFC West rankings. Offense total third, fourth in passing, sixth in rushing, ninth, didn't give up that many sacks. Drake May did throw a lot of interceptions, but young quarterbacks tend to do that, and he fumbled quite a bit. So he had that problem in the playoffs. So that's no surprise, and I think that's something that can be fixed.
Yeah.
Look at their defense: eighth in total defense, ninth against the pass, sixth against the rush. I mean, it scares me a little bit. There's a lot of categories in the top 10 on both sides of the ball that really concern me as a Buffalo fan and having to deal with them. But nonetheless, it's a team that is primed to continue what it started this year. I don't think they're going to get back there for whatever reason, but we'll see. Big dude, what did
NFC.
Say that again?
I'm just glad they're not in the NFC.
Got you. Big dude, what do you think New England needs to do with the draft? And they have the 31st pick.
Well, they have to make some changes, and I know you had mentioned it in I think the last podcast we had is about whether you really had linemen since they're at 31. I'd like to see them pick up another lineman, although they did get in free agency a gentleman for guard, Elijah Vera Tucker, and they are supposed to move Jared Wilson, who was on that horrid left side. They're supposed to move him to center, and you still have Will Campbell. So I think that they're going to be able to pick somebody else that's proven, or pick them up later. You still should get somebody decent when they get to the next round. I would say they brought in Draymond Jones, who's a really good player at the edge. Them bringing in the edge person, I would say that they should probably go edge with T.J. Parker from Clemson. Or is he O-line? Yeah, they should probably go edge. And that should be the first place, because I think when you think about what happened to them, the only way they say is to sometimes match somebody else's intensity. If they look at what happened to them, they have to almost flood themselves with edge people to make it difficult for all the tackles, especially the left tackle, to go against. And probably not a bad idea as they get into the other rounds to find a wideout. You still can get quality wideouts in the third round. And one name that comes up usually, and it's come up across, and a few other teams are starting to go after Bryce Lance, who is Trey Lance's brother out of North Dakota State. This is a guy that's a big wideout. He's a little older. He's 25 years old, big body, kind of that who you were mentioning, Guru, that folks are looking at what kind of pick he is, whether he's kind of like as fast as A.J. Brown was. I haven't heard, but he did well at the combine, and then probably also one more safety. They have their corners, Gonzalez is there, but I think you also want to find out just how everything's going to go with Kevin Byard this year. Great pickup for him. Kevin Byard is great, but I don't think that's going to be more than a 1-year deal. So you have to get someone else all ready to take over for him when it happens. And also Will Campbell, got to apply some pressure. I know Doug Marrone is working with Campbell, and Campbell had a solid season other than that last game, and hopefully he'll never forget that last game. But by the same token, they should probably draft somebody somewhere in the later rounds just to have somebody else close by. The Patriots have players that usually are very versatile, and they're cross-trained as well, as we saw people get moved from guard to center and tackle to guard. So, and that might be the answer at some point with Will Campbell, moving him to guard and taking a look at who else that we may be able to bring in. I know there are other folks are back, but got to be able to figure out that left tackle position and how things are going to be handled. So, and probably one other edge person that they were going to bring in as well to look at, besides Parker, is a guy by the name of Romello Height. He had 8.5 sacks last year coming from college, and they brought him in for a top visit. And, of course, they did lose one tight end, and I like your guy out of Bama, Walter Cuevas. So they have a lot of different things to do. The Patriots keep everything simple. They're going to use their athleticism and smart and wit. The coach is defensive-minded, but he's a CEO type of coach, and the type of coach that's what makes them so special. And he's trying to balance it in the best way possible. But they're going to have to overwhelm people with athleticism this year, not put all the pressure on the corners, especially as things get late in the season. Excellent season last year, except for the Super Bowl. I think that they ought to keep bringing in different folks that are going to help them hold on to the football a little bit more. The running back situation seems pretty solid. They had a good year last year as well. nobody really to replace. So that's where I am with the Patriots. The edge, also keeping the defense going and finding that wideout that the Patriots always make somebody famous. That's not a famous wideout. Finding out that wideout somewhere in the middle rounds. That's a big wideout, and that can make a difference. Also, paired with Booty, provided they don't get AJ Brown.
They just signed Romeo. I hope I pronounce his last name, Dobbs, for $70 million.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, that was the Stephon Diggs replacement, I suspect.
Yeah, I don't know about I didn't get to that. I'm not totally convinced on that one. I don't know why.
I agree.
He'll be a great fit with them. I would normally agree with you guys, but I think New England with Josh McDaniels, he's going to look like a superstar next year in that system.
I hope so.
I hope not, but
right. Well, anyway, you know what I mean.
I get it.
What do you have for the Pats, G?
Oh yeah, I'll keep it pretty simple because again, this is kind of a rich gets richer scenario. So I definitely have offensive line. Just if they really wanted to improve that side of the ball, mainly the run. So that would not be a bad idea. I mean, they did just sign Vera Tucker to a 3-year, $42 million contract. So they're expecting a lot out of him, I would imagine. But that's something that they could look at. I changed my second because I was thinking, defensive line and linebacker. But the more I thought about it, listening to Big Dude, I'm like, edge and one of the defensive backs would actually be really good because then you're talking about improving pass defense that's currently 9th, but you can improve it some more. And here's the reality: just listening to Big Dude, is that even if you get a good pass, you get a good edge rusher. If they're quick enough and their technique is good enough, they can shut down a lot of those sweeps. They can shut down a lot of those little short passes in the backfield and be there. So then that ends up also helping with the run game. So I think that edge, if you get the right person, can kind of be that dual threat, rushing the passer, but also shutting down those outside runs or in the flat passes. So I mean, what do you say about New England, man?
I'm going old tackle, offensive tackle. I think their defense, they do need some pieces on defense, but Vrabel's defenses are always pretty solid. And they played tough. I mean, they played tough in the Super Bowl.
They did.
So I think their defense is fine. Can certainly add some people. I know their rankings in terms of sacks and interceptions were not the greatest, but their defense definitely concerned me. I know the times that we played them, I was worried about their defense for sure. They got to fix that offensive line situation because to me, that ended up costing them. And they're lucky that they had the level of competition that they had leading up to the Super Bowl, or else they would have lost those games because of their offensive line. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the most glaring thing to me. There should be people there. The Monroe Fielding from Georgia should be there. That's 6'6", 315. He was an underclassman coming out. You have Max Ihanachor for Arizona State should be there. You got a bunch of guys. I like this Jennings Dunker dude that I had mentioned him in one of the other episodes, the big red kid from Florida, Iowa. Something about this kid, man. Yes, there's something about him. I don't know. He just has star mean written on him, and I think that he'll be a good pickup.
Defensive line?
Offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle.
Yeah, so I think that they should focus on that offensive tackle position. Even I know they're going to shift people around. I know that was Dude's primary position. I would get an offensive tackle out of this thing. You just can't run it back. You can't run it back with Will Campbell. You just can't. And you can move him and all of that, but he's still going to be out there. So that's my take on that. And for me to say draft an offensive lineman first, you know that they need it. So that's me for the Pats. All right, let's wrap up
Wow.
with the Jets. God, where do you begin here? But they have a bunch of picks, so they
Yo,
should
I
be able to do something.
Geno Smith is in a new situation, and he's gonna play the way people thought he was gonna play.
Yeah, I think the Jets. I mean, they got nowhere to go but up. I mean, they were 3-14. It can't get too much worse.
Hedging my
They
bets.
say it again.
Hedging my bets.
So they didn't just struggle out of the gate. They unraveled as the season progressed. So listen to how bad the Jets were, you guys. 7-game losing streak to open the year that produced a minus 54-point differential. All right. 3 of those losses were 2-point losses, surprisingly, but things got worse. They had a 5-game skid to close the season with a minus 134-point differential. I mean, they're just giving up points, which a team that even when they're historically bad, their defense is usually good. And the defense wasn't even good this year. So, but this is the kicker for me. First NFL team since 1933. I guess this could have been a wait, to finish the season without a defensive interception. How is that even possible?
How is that? I've never heard of that.
How is it even possible? Got a tip ball? You got to get lucky on a tip ball or something, not one.
Man, it's like when Sauce Gardner left, everybody else left.
Yeah, pretty much. So the roster lacked depth. The coaching staff didn't do anything to elevate. And it was Aaron Glenn, who's always one of my favorite dudes. Loved him when he played. First year, got to give him a chance. I'm glad they brought him back. But he fired 8 assistants. So he's about to revamp this whole thing on his end. So maybe these changes will spark some improvement. And, obviously he'll grow into the role. I think that he's a good coach and he'll figure it out. So they have all these draft picks. They got $47.5 million in cap space. That's the 4th in cap space. All right. So they got a lot going on here. And they have 4 picks in that's the top of not even the midway of the second round. So through the first 45 picks, they have 4 picks. You can get some stuff done. Yeah. You can get some stuff done. Yeah. And I like what you said to start it off, G. I'm a believer, too. I think Geno, this won't be the same Geno that they drafted, first and foremost. This is a different Geno that's coming back. And, I mean, they need a lot, but I think that some of the pickups that they have, I really like. I really like the Geno Smith pickup. I love the T'Vondre Sweat, Demario Davis, who was a beast in New Orleans. Nashawn Wright, the cornerback from Chicago. Minka Fitzpatrick's a little older, but some leadership out there back in the back of their defense. I love those pickups, man. I really love those pickups. So given what they have to work with, obviously their draft picks. So they have 2 in the first round and 2 fairly high picks at 2 and 16. Big dude, where are you starting off with the Jets in the first round here with those first 2 picks?
Well, almost all the mock drafts. I mean, they vacillate between Bailey now. Now everybody else is considering Bailey, where Arvell Reese. I mean, it's almost the same thing. Although I would say with Arvell, they call him an off-ball linebacker. I mean, he's really a defensive end, the most athletic defensive end in the draft. I think you got to go with Arvell. He'll be on, I guess, one side. Then you'll have Abdul Carter on the other side. I think that's a great place to start. I think somehow, you got 16. You can come up with an offensive player. I still say don't panic. I know that like I said, that you have more time for an offensive lineman, I think, in those teams. I think if anybody like Spano or any of the rest of them are available, a lot of those people are going to go up before 12. And if Vega Ione is there, let's take a shot at Ione. And because what the Jets are missing is they're competitive, but they're missing that nastiness that's going to get them over the hump. Somehow you got to make some other folks really think about that. Just not that you're going to be competitive; they're going to know it. So they're going to have to also look at pairing somebody. They have Garrett Wilson. They got to have somebody else to pair with Garrett Wilson, and I think at the 33rd pick, they may be able to do that. And I don't know if Lemon or any of those folks will be available, but I will say certainly, a Lemon you hope that he's there. I'm not sure why it keeps vacillating. I don't think Lemon will be there. You'll have some other folks that are there, but they're going to need somebody else to pair with Garrett Wilson, and then some other folks to help as the draft goes on. People on defense that are going to be able to help with Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I think that you'll need that. You'll need some independent people and independent thinking, especially on defense, because one thing is you have a head coach that is the defensive. Not only is he defensive minded, he is going to be calling the defense, and he'll have the blue dot. But the real blue dot person, and whether you give it to the linebacker or not, is probably going to be Fitzpatrick, who's been around. Their players, because he has that approach, are almost going to be the coaches on the field. I mean, you got Frank Reich coming in as a new offensive coordinator. So Frank Reich and Geno Smith, they'll pair well. But the question is, across the front, how will that all work across the front with Frank Reich? I know Frank Reich will be much more aggressive on offense. And I think the question is going to be is whether Aaron Glenn lets Frank Reich go ahead and do his thing on offense, because he's the guy that he was one of the guys that was going forward on fourth down with Peterson and pushing people when he was with the Eagles. And I think he's right back to that, where he doesn't feel the pressure as much. So I think the Jets, probably add something to the line, add something else to their backs, pair somebody with Garrett Wilson, and help complete, I'd say, the secondary, the edge, the linebackers in the secondary in all those particular picks.
Right. What do you have the Jets doing in the first round, G?
Man, if the Jets don't go wide receiver, I don't know what the heck is on their minds. I mean, with the run game, I think they're good, but their pass game is like, ugh. And if you're gonna bring in Geno Smith, I mean, you traded for this young man. You must believe something. You know what I mean? So you need to give the man some tools to throw to. So I'm gonna go wide receiver, and if you're number 2, man, you got a heck of a crop. As a matter of fact, Geno Smith and Carnell Tate would be a heck of a matchup, I think, or a pair. But I would probably, even as much as I'm an Ohio State homer, but you got Brazil out of Tennessee, 6'4", can run. I would probably go for that cat, or Denzel Boston, or Chris Bell. One of those 3. I would go get, because I believe that they know the game, they know the routes, they're smart. They have to go wide receiver, that number 2. And then when you get down to their later first round pick, that's when I would probably go defense. And at that particular point, edge, D-line, inside, linebacker, DB, they need all of it. So just grab the best one available.
All right, G, you and I are opposite. We got the positions, but I think we're opposite. But I want to pose a question to you both. If you look, and I know we're not totally relying on the rankings here. We've long ago determined that these rankings certainly aren't accurate. However, if you look at what the Jets need versus where their needs are ranked, because there's a substantial difference to where these guys are ranked versus what their needs are. And I'm going to give wide receivers a perfect example because I agree with you, G. They need a wide receiver. But, man, Carnell Tate is the 9th ranked prospect, and they have the 2nd pick. And you're going to skip. So you got Fernando Mendoza. You're going to skip Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Francis, to get to a wide receiver. And I'm not saying Carnell Tate may very well be the 2nd or 3rd highest ranked prospect. Say it again.
I have a real hard time with pulling all the positions together because they're very different. So I kind of look at the need, then the ranking, and even with that, I really look more at performance. And so that's why I say, he might be 9th overall, but he's top 3 receiver, and you need it.
See, I'm looking at the value of him being valued at a 9th pick versus me paying a 3 pick. And I don't disagree with how you're looking at it, because I think it's different for each team, right? How they're going to look at the position ranking or the overall, right? For value. I wouldn't be mad if they picked Carnell Tate with the 2nd pick. I wouldn't be mad at all, because when you have the 2 in the 16th, I don't even think you can go wrong. I really don't think you can go wrong. I would just like to see them get, and I lost my guy here. Oh, I don't see how they can pass up Arvell Reese. And the problem I have with that he's not a need for them. But I ain't passing up Arvell Reese.
No, right. I just couldn't do it. And
in doing that, I might be passing on Caleb Downs, but I'm thinking safety or outside linebacker. If I'm a GM, I can't leave those guys sitting there. I can't do it. Not with the 2nd pick. I just can't do it.
They could use him, no doubt about it. 29th against the run, 17 against the pass. So, I mean, they could definitely use him.
And I think you can get your receiver at 16 still. Now, you might not get Carnell Tate at 16, but you can still get a very good receiver at 6. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of them in this bad boy. And when you get down that list, these jokers are running 4.3s and 4.4. I don't see anybody less than a 4. Everybody's less than a 4.5 if you get down that wide receiver list. And there's some real sleepers there. There's some guys that are a little undersized, but there's some big boys there. So that's what I would do. I would do the exact reverse of UG. But again, I wouldn't be mad if they went wide receiver first, but definitely wide receiver and defense.
I definitely see what you're saying.
So that's my only thing. But I kind of lean. I think if the clock's ticking, I might lean a little bit more towards your strategy, just because if you bring Geno Smith in, I looked at that depth chart. We got to get some help for your other boy from Ohio State, man, on the outside. I mean, who's Geno going to be throwing to?
At least they have to have it.
And who's the Jets tight end? Does anybody know who the Jets tight end is?
And who did they just?
What about Kenyon Sadiq possibly? He's going to be sitting there.
They just re-signed him.
Who is it?
Jelani Woods. Don't give me the line.
I'd love to say I know who that is, but I do not.
Oh no.
Yeah, I would even look at Kenyon Sadiq. Again, I mentioned to you guys, I see him as a hybrid tight end / wide receiver.
At 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good. You know, I just wasn't sure where, like I said, when they say needed, the Jets need some excitement on offense. And Frank Reich is going to appreciate, he would appreciate that.
They're really the only team. Well, I should say they're the only team drafting this high. I see the needs, but when you're drafting this high, my God, how you skip over somebody that may terrorize you on another team? I can't skip over guys that good. I just can't. And you're a bad team take the best player available.
Where? At number 2?
The Jets with that second pick. You need help everywhere. Take the best player available. Anyways, that's it for our AFC East draft outlook. Make sure you continue to check us out on all the streaming platforms. And thanks once again for tuning in for another episode of Chasing Rings. We're coming down the home stretch. We'll continue our draft outlook on the next episode with the AFC North. And I'm really going to get into some Ty Simpson conversation when we get into that division. So until next time, see ya later.